Second paragraph. Experts have studied how Black Death germs arrived in Europe. Many believe the flea-ridden rats came from China to Europe on trade ships. Why do they think so? They know that just a few years before the Black Death struck Europe, the same deadly disease broke out in China. Experts think that the flea-ridden, or infested, that's what flea-ridden means, rats got aboard European trade ships that visited Chinese ports. When the ships returned to Europe, they brought the rats and the disease with them. The author just gave us more links on this causal chain we were talking about. Let me show you on this map. The text said that experts believe that flea-ridden rats got on board ships that were in China, and then the ships traveled until they got to Europe. And actually, we'll find out that it was first Sicily that they arrived to. We're going to move on to that third paragraph on the page that starts with "there is." There is a convincing piece of evidence for this theory. It is an account of an eyewitness from Sicily, an island in the Mediterranean Sea off the coast of Italy. According to this account, which is a description of events, I lost my place. A fleet of trade ships arrived in Sicily in October 1347. Many of the ship's crewmen were already dead when the ship docked. Many more were sick with the disease. When the people of Sicily realized that the Black Death had reached their shores, they ordered the ships out of the harbor. This action came too late to save the people of Sicily, however. Within days, Sicilians began to come down with the disease Before long, the Black Death reached other cities along the Mediterranean coast. From there, it spread inland with terrifying speed. It spread through France, Germany, Spain, and Portugal. It moved onto the British Isles and Scandinavia. It even reached the island of Greenland near the North Pole, almost wiping out the population. You may think, boys and girls, that only scientists talk about theories, but historians also talk about theories. A theory, I have it up here for you to see because I've been saying that word so often, is a working idea or an explanation that takes into account the available information. So scientists and historians make theories. And what is a theory that the historians have developed so far about the arrival of this germ to Europe? What is the explanation or working idea of how this Black Death germ arrived in Europe? What has the author told us so far? Avani?
That it's been traveling from different places and it's been coming from other places that came to Europe.
Avani, say more.
That it's kind of like something goes from one place to another and hops to different places. Like from Europe, it went to other places, and then it circled around all the places near Europe.
Can somebody add to that and tell us more about this theory, this explanation of how they arrived to Europe? Mary?
First it was in China, then trading ships were going back and forth, and mice got on the sailing ships, and they had the fleas on them. And when they went to England, the fleas got on them, and now they're spreading it all over.
Okay. Sean, do you have something here?
The rats that got on the ship smelled like food, or they were hungry, so they would go to the food, and then the food might have gotten poisoned or might have gotten the disease, and then it would have spread across the boat and then to the mainland.
So So it sounds like you are forming your own theory about what happened on the boat, right? However, the author told us very specific information about the theory that historians have, and they also provided us with some evidence. We're going to have to go back probably to the last page to find that evidence, but I would like us to talk about what evidence supported the theory that historians had that this germ came from China. What's the evidence? I'm turning back to page 2. That last paragraph might have some information for us. We need evidence. Maria?
Same disease was caused in China.
I'm sorry, can you say
The
that again?
same disease spread out in China.
Tell me more about that.
Well, I think that because the same disease spread out in China, that they could have spread it to someone else.
Okay. And what evidence do we have that it was spread into Europe? Khalil?
Because when it arrived in Switzerland, that most of the people on it was dead already.
Does anybody want to add on to that or say more about that? Daryl, did you want to say more about that? Olivia?
Many of the ship's crewmen were sick.
Okay. If you go back into that paragraph on page 2, you'll see that the author actually mentions the word evidence in that first sentence. It says, there is a convincing piece of evidence for this theory. It is an account of an eyewitness from Sicily. An account is a description of events. So we can gather information from people's descriptions of what they saw, right? That happens even now in the news. Sometimes people are interviewed and they tell their accounts of what happened, right? And so this person said that a fleet of ships arrived in Sicily in October 1347, and many of the ship's crewmen were already dead when the ship docked.